Israeli Defense Minister Israel Katz visited troops in southern Lebanon on Sunday. His ministry said he traveled there to supervise security arrangements for the next stages of implementing the ceasefire between Israel and the Hezbollah militant group. During his meeting with troops, Katz said Israel's crackdown on Hezbollah meant the group could no longer protect Iran or threaten Israel. The first phase of the U.S.-brokered ceasefire agreement that ended nearly 14 months of war is a 60-day cessation of hostilities. During this time, Hezbollah militants are supposed to withdraw from southern Lebanon, north of the Litani River, while Israeli troops withdraw from southern Lebanon into Israel. Lebanese troops are to deploy in large numbers in the south, effectively being the only armed force in control of the south alongside United Nations peacekeepers.
הפעילות העוצמתית של צה"ל הכריעה את הכפרים האלה ואת כל המרחב הזה. אנחנו הכרנו את שיני הנחש של החיזבאללה ואנחנו ערוכים לרוצץ את ראשו במידה ולא יקיים וינסה לפעול נגד מדינת ישראל. החיזבאללה כבר לא יכול להגן על איראן, הוא לא יכול לאיים על ישראל. אנחנו פעלנו על מנת לסלק את האיום הזה ונמשיך ונעשה את זה גם בעתיד.
Hundreds of former soldiers and officers from the previous Syrian government queued outside reconciliation centers in Damascus on Saturday. The centers have been set up as a part of a scheme to grant amnesty to soldiers and police officers who had not taken part in torture and killing during the government of ousted President Bashar Assad. Ali Morshed, an adjutant at the former Syrian army who was applying for reconciliation status, told the Associated Press, "We were not behind any bloodshed, we were just serving the country a long time ago. We were surprised with the numbers, we opened 2 centers and the turnout is huge," said Major Walid Abadrabo, a Syrian officer in the new interim government. While there have been bursts of deadly sectarian violence in the days since Assad was ousted, it's nothing close to what was feared after nearly 14 years of civil war. Much credit for the relative calm so far is being given to the Islamic militant group that led the insurgency against Assad and is helping to rebuild the country and unite its many factions. The group, Hayat Tahrir al-Sham, or HTS, had ties to al-Qaeda, but it has vowed not to discriminate against any religion or ethnicity, and it has denounced revenge killings. In the days since Assad's fall, dozens of Syrians have been killed in acts of revenge, according to activists and experts who monitor Syria. The vast majority have been from the minority Alawite community, an offshoot of Shia Islam that the Assad family adheres to.
نحن جايين لهون لنعمل تسوية الوضع اللي صار نحن فيه، نحن بنتمنى من كل العالم تجي وتشوف المراكز اللي هون وتعمل تسوية، لأنه الحمد لله الوضع صار أحسن، والوضع كل ما انه يعني الشباب اللي كانت بتخدم بالجيش يعني كلها اجت لهون لحتى تسوي هالوضع. بنتمنى من الكل انه يشوفوا نحن شو وضعنا، نحن بالاصل ما كان عندنا لا إراقة دماء ولا شيء، نحن كنا عم نخدم البلد من زمان.
هنا مركز تسويات لعناصر النظام السابق، سواء كانوا ضباط أو صف ضباط أو مجندين خدمة إلزامية سابقا. براجعنا هون في المركز بيسلم العهد اللي كان مستلمه والأمانات اللي في حوزته العائدة للدولة السورية، وبيتم منحه بطاقة تسوية لمدة 3 أشهر مؤقتة حتى يتم إصدار بطاقة دائمة. والله الأعداد حقيقة احنا تفاجأنا بالعدد، يعني احنا فتحنا مركزين، يعني الإقبال شديد جدا وكبير جدا، يعني بالأعداد بالآلاف كما تشاهد اليوم تقريبا في هذا المركز قرابة 1500.
During the full-scale war, Ukraine received more than 5,000 Phoenix Ghost drones from the United States, about which almost nothing is known publicly. Forbes was recently allowed to look behind the curtain of secrecy behind which this mysterious drone is hidden. These drones are manufactured by a little-known American defense contractor, AVEX, whose factory is located in Tampa, Florida. For a long time, the location of the drone's production remained secret, since the Americans were genuinely afraid that Russia would try to disrupt the plant's operations. But the secrecy regime has not been completely lifted to this day. Therefore, for example, in order to protect factory workers from persecution by the Russians, all identification marks and even fingerprints are removed from the drone components before they are sent to Ukraine. Although Phoenix Ghost drones have been supplied to Ukraine for about 2 years, there have been no reliable photos or videos of them being used on the battlefield. And because of Pentagon secrecy requirements, the Ukrainian military has been tight-lipped about the drones. Now that those restrictions have been relaxed a bit, Forbes journalists were shown both the AVEX factory in Florida and even the drones themselves. As it turns out, the Phoenix Ghost is not a model, but an entire drone program that produces several varieties. Journalists were shown 4 drones, but there are others that remain secret for now. AVEX co-founder and CEO Brian Radwens said that until 2022, his company did not produce drones, although it was involved in this industry. But they managed to break into the market thanks to their ability to quickly adapt to the needs of the customer, nominally the Pentagon, but in fact the Ukrainian armed forces, and dynamic changes in the battlefield. In this, the startup managed to go ahead of other American companies that have long been producing drones using outdated technology. In early 2022, the Pentagon was desperately looking for drones to quickly provide to Ukraine. Then the US Department of Defense issued a short and unusually broad request: create a system that will reduce the movement of a large armed organization. In other words, keep tanks from rolling into Kyiv. Then AVEX teamed up with Tribe Aerospace, which already had a small production facility in Tampa. This is how the Phoenix Ghost program was born, in which the Americans tried to create the cheapest possible attack drone. It was a crazy period of hard work and rapid prototyping. We were up for 24 or 48 hours, going from one event to the next, maybe only sleeping on the plane on the way there, sleeping in airplane hangars around the world in boxes. Joe Register, co-founder of Tribe Aerospace, told Forbes. The Americans were simultaneously supplying drones to Ukraine and working on improving them, trying to make them quieter and less visible to radar. The model, called Dagger, has performed well in Ukraine. Even when the Russians shot it down, the drone was still useful. After all, it cost only $49,000, less than the much more expensive air defense missile the Russians spend on it. According to the manufacturer's calculations, shooting down one Dagger cost the Russians about $500,000.